Pittsburgh, how you guys doing? When does my time start? Oh, okay. Judges, crowd, my name is Mike Butler, and I'm so excited to tell you guys about CodeTrail. But before I begin, let's put in some context. STEM isn't just a buzzword anymore. Science, technology, engineering, and math. These are the skills and the degrees that students in the 21st century global economy have to have. But are we preparing our kids? In a recent study of 22 leading nations, American students finished dead last in technology and logical reasoning problem-solving skills. That's not good news. Kids that are in elementary school today, by the time they reach the job market, they are going to have to be highly proficient in technology. So the need, a way to approach this problem that is fun and engaging for children. But the problem, current tools fail. The resources that are available now, some are way too simple and underestimate the abilities of kids. Others are far too complex and require pre-existing knowledge of coding. So our solution, a mobile game that encourages logical reasoning, coding concepts, and problem solving. The concept of the game is that a player will navigate an avatar through a maze. Well, how does he do this? He does this by ordering commands in the proper sequence. We'd like to show you an example of what level 1 would look like. So in the top left, thank you, internet. In the top left, you have your robot avatar. On the right, you have your command options. On a mobile game, with your fingers, you'd be dragging and dropping the commands in the proper sequence and hoping that you're predicting the correct method. Once you're ready, hit start and see if you got it right. Seems simple enough, right? I think anybody here could do this. Slide. So then what? The game increases in complexity, command options increase, and slowly the code behind the commands is revealed to the player. So maybe at level 50, you no longer have arrows for your commands, but you have little blocks of code. But then, by the time you reach level 100, this is what the game is going to start to look like. Now the kid or the player is going to be interacting with the code, writing it himself, and giving commands to his avatar, not by just dragging and dropping buttons, but seeing the logic, the reason, and the concepts behind the code. Think of it as crawl, walk, run. And from our research, this is the first game concept of this size, or of this type, that sort of takes you from the very beginning and holds your hand, and then eventually just releases you into the big scary world of coding. So the result, develop logical reasoning, learn to think like a programmer, solve problems with technology. So, parents' wants, child's needs, how do we develop an application that both love? We're developing a game that accomplishes this. So, what is our proof? We surveyed parents and teachers and have had outstanding feedback. We've interviewed industry leaders such as leading game designers, and we have done over the weekend a live demo with 5 kids. So what is the total addressable market for a product like this? 28,849,000 American children between the age of 8 and 14 with access to a smartphone. So what we want to do is target kids between that age range of 8 and 14, and also those kids that have the parents who want their children to interact with games that are educational. Shouldn't be too hard to find. So how are we going to make money? After talking to industry leaders and other game designers who have kind of dealt with this before, they told us that avoid freemium model and go for a fixed price. Parents are willing to pay for their kids for a game on their phone as long as it's helping them develop education, logical reasoning skills, and teaching some kind of skill. Expansion packs, maybe 99 cents. So customer acquisition costs, initially it'll be a little bit on the high side because being realistic, we all can't be Flappy Bird. We had to get our name out there. We have to partner with distributors, perhaps advertising. However, once that buzz gets generated, it's going to drop to very low. We won't have to advertise anymore because it'll be by word of mouth. Customers, to get them, partner with game distributors, do the legwork for us, app store optimization, keeping them. We keep our customers happy. New avatars, new levels, and most importantly, develop a community of gamers, such as online forums, where they can interact with each other and help each other get through the levels. And then grow. Offer advanced courses, connect through social media, and then eventually introduce a competition aspect to the game to keep them engaged. Generating buzz. This has been exciting since Friday night when we first created our Twitter handle. I wish we could update this again. I mean, we have guys from Microsoft Spark Game Engine, Forbes journalists tweeting about us, and that's time. Thanks. I can bring my team up now, right? What?
Sorry, just one question.
Sure.
What kind of code will they be programming in as students begin to learn? Because I'm trying to figure out how it fits into a regular school curriculum.
Okay, well first I think that's very important to distinguish. This is just App Store or Google Play. This is a game for kids to download. So we wouldn't be selling this to the schools as like software as a service. The idea behind this isn't to teach JavaScript or Java or Python. It's to teach those concepts behind that, logical reasoning, those like basic programming skills. So once they are introduced to a more like advanced, established language, they'll understand the logic behind it.
How about ages, age range?
Actually, I'll pass the mic to my friend Elad here.
So actually, at the beginning of the development of the game, we have, I believe, underestimated kids' abilities. We had this around age 8 to 12 or 14, and we thought that would be simple enough. But as we talked to kids that age, we realized that kids that age have already passed this level. So we see this as something as like K first grade and up, really, and then learning and getting more knowledgeable and understanding the concepts behind coding and programming as they go forward with it.
Yeah, from what we figured out, I mean, talking to students as young as 2nd grade, they were easy enough to pick this up. So any age from 2+ or 2nd grade up could easily handle something like this.
Just to follow up on that, in the revenue model, is there any, or are you planning on aging it up, or are you going to stick with, as you say, K-1, which would be 5 to 6-year-olds?
What's unique about this game is that you see when you first see it, it looks like a child's game, and then by the end, you see how that's intimidating to even me, I'm just learning to code. So we initially, like we said, we initially thought that this would have to be very simple and for younger kids. But after getting kids to play it, and they loved it, and they picked it up so fast, all the mentors and the coaches that were coming around, they were like, oh, this is awesome. I've always wanted to learn how to code. I'd like something like this. But as far as revenue model, after we interviewed Sabrina Haskell, who is a game designer, she told us that games like this, your price point between $2.99, $4.99 is what I think we wrote, parents are willing to pay for it if they know it's like an educational game, which is probably a little more advantageous than like Candy Crush.
So just a quick comment to start first. So I engage and work with students as young as kindergarten to teach them code, particularly girls. So when we engage girls in code at a very young age, we want to think about opportunities for pair programming, for narrative and story creation. So if you could address anywhere that idea of, I know you mentioned multiplayer eventually, but any opportunities for pair programming, narrative story creation behind the avatar or the character. And then the second piece of that would be, how's the app different than something like Hopscotch or Codable? Thanks.
Sure. So I think you're asking player or like player created content. Not as of now behind our concept, that's not the idea. We're trying to, kids who haven't been established or introduced to coding, we're trying to teach them those basic logic concepts. How functions work, if-else statements, those sort of things that if you have no background in it, or if your parents never taught you, you can pick up the game and start to learn those very basic concepts until it gets more advanced. Down the road, like we said, if we took off and we could offer advanced courses, I think user-generated content could be a great aspect of that community. And that's what you never know with these things, is that once that community builds and if it builds, you never know what that feedback you're going to get, and we would have to pivot. What was the second part of your question? Yeah, sure. So Hopscotch looks a lot similar, for those of you who don't know, to that first level you saw, where you try to issue commands and then you make a little character do a dance or something like that. What distinguishes us is that compounding skill level knowledge, where you look like that at the beginning, but by the end, they're actually typing in their own code and learning how to interact with the environment they have to navigate through. Thank you.